welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Dee Dee. I was thinking what we could do today was kind of just walk around the property and I could get some perspective on where we want to lay things out. I'll give just a tiny bit of backstory. We bought this property from an elderly lady and her son. The manufactured house is in okay-ish shape. We've had to do a number of repairs to it, still have some stuff to do. We're also updating the inside of the manufactured home while we are living in it to just make it brighter and just kind of refresh it a little bit. If you've watched some of our previous videos, you may know that it had brown paneling throughout, and I believe it's an 81. The year of the trailer is an 81, so it's old and it definitely needed some refreshing, some cleanup, and just, yeah, some general fixing. So we've been working on that, but coming in maybe January, February, we want to kind of start turning our attention to things that we want to accomplish this coming summer. And so I'm kind of planning ahead for those things. By the way, that view, right? So beautiful. This is really why we bought this property. So there was nothing else about this property that was that spectacular. I mean, it's not like it had an amazing house or anything on it. But that view, that is why we bought it. It's so pretty. We're gonna eventually take down that tree right there. That way it's not blocking any of the view, because right now it blocks a lot of the view from the house. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I've been kind of observing the property a little bit and trying to figure out where I want to put my garden. So we have hopes eventually of having a house built on the property and then getting rid of the manufactured home. We had to put that on hold for a little bit because right now the price of building is just really high and interest rates are also high. And we live in an area that's expensive, has a high cost of living also. And then with inflation, you add all of those things together. We could still do it, but we didn't want to make our money that tight. So we're going to put a pin in that, and hopefully we'll circle back to that eventually and we'll be able to build. But we want to continue, though, making progress on cleaning up the property and getting some of the stuff in place that we want to do for the upcoming year. So there's a lot of cleanup that needs to be done on the property itself. We've already done a lot of that. We removed an old single wide trailer that was here. There was multiple little outbuildings that needed to be torn down because they weren't usable. So we've done a lot of cleanup already. There is still a lot to do. I kind of want to scope out a spot for my garden because if I'm going to have a garden this coming summer, we need to start working on it in January or February. It'll take a while. Robert works a full-time job. His time is limited. And so when we have a chance to work on projects like this, it's mostly just an evening here or there and then a weekend. And, you know, but a lot of times we have other things going on the weekend and we can't even quite get to projects. So I want to start planning now so that we can start building the beds and have a general idea of where we want to put the garden. So I'll show you a couple spots that I was thinking of. So our entrance to the property is on the other side of the manufactured house, and it comes down and then it wraps around here to where I'm standing, and then we have our two-car garage shop thing. So our septic tank is right there, but the drain field is up here, and then it drains all the way down here. So all of this area here is obviously off limits. We don't want to put a garden on the drain field or anywhere near the septic tank. So that's off limits. So I don't want to put the garden anywhere out front here because we need to have tall fencing. We have a ton of deer here. And there's also jackrabbits. So we are going to have to put in some good fencing and some tall fencing to keep the deer out. So I don't want it blocking the view at all. So I don't want it in front of the house. And this property is a little bit oddly shaped. So it's kind of long, like a long skinny triangle. The majority of it is a hillside behind the house. I'll flip you around and show you that really quick. So you have the manufactured house up there, the garage, some of our junk, and then a lot of the property is back over here. A lot of the property is back over here and it goes down this hillside, so it's not super usable. So we're okay with that being hillside. That was actually another thing that we liked about the property, is once we get all of these trees, we're going to take down all the little ones. The big trees we're going to be limbed up. We're going to get all the underbrush cleaned up. There's a beautiful view out this backside, and that is where we get our beautiful sunsets. So that'll be really nice. But there's not space for a garden over there. So that's another spot we can't put it. So we're up kind of on a saddle ridge, and if you follow this ridge all the way along burn pile, we also have this little shed. This is our wood shed. Then there's the pump house, and then there is a little I'm thinking this area downhill from the garden shed might be a nice spot. It also has a beautiful view. I wanted to know if you guys have any drawbacks that you can think of. It is on a fairly decent slope, which I think is fine for a garden. It's right near the pump house, which means water would be easy to run down here for watering. We do not get rain in the summer really, so I have to be able to water the garden, and I need to take that into account. The only thing that concerns me is having it be this far away from the house. For our last house, our garden was literally right next to it. We could look out the window into the garden. It was really nice. I really like that because as far as if I needed to go out and do something, I could take 10 minutes and just run out there. And it's not like it's so far away, but I'm a little bit worried about the out of sight, out of mind factor, that if it's down here, I won't be in it as often and I won't be keeping up on it as well. So that's the only concern I have. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are about placement. Let's see, this fence line right here is our property line. So not this little piece right here. This is a weird piece that comes up in the middle of the property. I'm not sure why they did that, but it kind of goes back over there. So anyway, that's our property line on the front. So we don't have just a ton of room on the front side, but we have plenty of room. We don't really need more room than this. Yeah, I don't have just a ton of options of places to put it. Even with a property this size, it is 5 acres. You would think, oh, there should be lots of places. But because of where the manufactured house is, where we eventually want to build right down there where so that's another flat spot that we cleared out. But that is eventually where we would like to build a house. So of course I'm not going to put my garden there. Ideally, I would actually love to have it where the manufactured house is sitting, but we live in there, so we can't exactly make that a garden space yet. So the only other spot that I was thinking is, so that right there is the sand filter for our septic system. And then, like I said, it drains all the way down here to like where I'm standing. So of course we're not going to put it there. But our property goes right over here. So hard to point on camera. Our property goes right over here and it runs down this hill. So I'm thinking I might be able to put it kind of adjacent to, it won't be like right next to it. It'll actually be a little bit far away from it, and it won't be downhill from the sand filter or the drain lines. So I'm thinking I might be able to put it up right there. That would be a really nice spot. It's also really close to the house. So I'll kind of walk you up and show you a little bit more close up what the spot is we're looking at. So this is the other spot I was thinking about putting the garden, but the more I think about putting it here, the more I think it probably won't work. The reason being is that even though the sand filter is kind of adjacent to it, I mean, it's over there a little ways. It's not downhill from it. I'm not sure if that's okay to still put it that close. The other thing is that if I turn around and face the manufactured house, our only set of neighbors that we have is right up there. So I don't know why that bothers me to put it here, but I don't know. The last thing that kind of gives me hesitation is getting water over here. So I'd have to run water over from the manufactured house. So I really think this spot would be a cool spot for it, but I think logistically it might be better to put it at the other spot. Anyway, I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are and any like thoughts or insight as to like garden placement. Obviously, I've placed a few gardens. Actually, every house that I've lived in, we put a garden in. So I've put a few in. This property though, stumping me just a little bit because of the shape of it and how it's laid out. So any advice, any thoughts, any insight, any experience that you have with garden placement on a property, I would love to hear it. So it kind of sounds like somebody's coming down the driveway. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Take care. I'll see you soon.